having a terrible, terrible, terrible time with the internet.
Backstage. There I am.
Okay, I put you in.
All right. Can you see me?
Not yet. Hold on.
But I can see you.
I don't see a picture of you. Come on. What is going on?
I could see you. I'm looking at you right now. I can see you. And they can see both of us. I don't know what's wrong with your sound. They can see both of us. Ladies and gentlemen, please, we've had some serious technical issues today. And it's very unfortunate because we were really, really talking, divulging some information that we feel that people need to be aware of. And for the most part, we were talking about ancestral reverence and how important it is that we Africans, we in Chiism, pay attention to the lessons that we've learned from our ancestors, and then understand that other cultures do the same thing. Those cultures that are prominent in today's world and that have always been prominent have always had ancestral reverence. Our ancestors are very important. They are the ones that paved the way for us. Without them, we will not exist. That is the truth of the matter. Without our ancestors, we will not exist. We exist as Africans because we have African ancestors. I come from my parents. My parents come from their parents. My grandfather comes from my great-great-grandfather and great-great-grandmother, and so on and so forth. It is the genealogy, ancestral shrines that we build in each individual homes focuses on family unity and genealogical continuity. And in Nkporo, we call it Igwamang, which is a yearly festival dedicated to the reverence of our ancestors. The African doesn't worship the ancestors, and that's a misconception. We don't worship our ancestors. The word worship in the dictionary means to regard or treat something with honor. It is so innocent that we apply it to describing our relationship with our ancestors. But because in the dictionary, it also means honor, revere as a supernatural power or being. Chiism prefers to use revere in describing our relationship with our ancestors in order to avoid the use of worship, only to confuse our dealings with the supreme being, with our dealings with our ancestors. and play into the hands of the European, who benefits from a misunderstanding of the difference between honor and reverence. We revere our ancestors, but we honor Chineke. We honor God. There's a difference. So it's very important that we understand that and not live in confusion and this misunderstanding that when we talk about our ancestors, most Africans that I know think that we're talking about worshiping our ancestors, and then that misconception filters into the academic world, where people now believe that Africans worship their ancestors. No, we revere our ancestors. Do you think that the Jews worship their ancestors? Do you think that the European worships his or her ancestors? Do you think that the Indians in India worship their ancestors? Is it fair to apply that the African, or imply that the African worships their ancestors and not apply the same understanding to the European, the Jews, to all Abrahamic religions, or all religions in the world as worshiping their ancestors? As we say here in the United States, why does eating fried chicken have to be a black thing? Don't white people eat fried chicken too? Why is eating watermelon a black thing? Don't white folks eat watermelon too? Why do you revere ancestors of other spiritual cultures and not your own? Did you come from Abraham? Really? They tell you that Abraham is the father of humanity. The Old Testament, the creation in the Bible, in the Old Testament, is 7,000 years old. That's how old Judaism is. That's how old the Jewish nation is. It is 7,000 years ago, 7,000 years old. Do you believe that humanity is only 7,000 years old, where Abraham becomes the father of humanity? The creation in the Bible, in the Old Testament, is 7,000 years old. That's how old Judaism is. That's how old the Jewish nation is. It is 7,000 years ago. Sure why I have this vibration.
Do you believe that humanity is only 7,000 years old, where Abraham becomes the father of humanity?
So there's vibration going on. It's reverberating and it's repeating everything that I'm saying. But anyway, human migration from Africa started 270,000 years ago. So that makes that understanding, or that narrative that we are ancestors of Abraham, null and void. My ancestors are more than 7,000 years old. King Henry VIII cannot be my ancestor. The shoguns in Japan cannot be my ancestors. The caliphate, the caliphs in Arabia are not my ancestors. I am not a descendant of them. I'm a descendant of African ancestors. And it is imperative that we understand that without our ancestors, we will not exist. And our ancestors exist in memoriam. They signify, or they are our genealogical continuity. We come from them. We don't come from ancestors from other lands. First life in this world as human beings, has been recorded in history, in archaeology, came from Africa. It didn't come from Japan. Migration didn't start up north and then down south. It started in Central Africa, went up north, south, east, and west. In the end, we're all the same. I'm not a descendant of King Edward I of Britain. And it's an injustice to your psyche to revere ancestors of other cultures and spit on your own and act as if you existed or you exist in a vacuum. You just got dropped off from the skies and landed on earth, and here you are. If you reject your ancestors, you're rejecting your own mother, the mother that you know right now. If you reject your ancestors, you're rejecting your father, the father that you know right now. Where do you think you came from? If you reject your ancestors, you're rejecting your grandfather and your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-great-great-grandmother, your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. You act as if you just came from the sky. Bam, here you are. Everything that you are as an African is a reflection. Your skin tone, your language, your culture, the African dresses that you wear, the name of Chineke that you call, Ubangiji, Olodumare, Tamuna, Giami, Uvuzilele, Nkulu. Whatever you call God in any African dialect is a reality because of those that came before you, and those that came before you are your ancestors. So please, my people, if you reject your ancestors, you're rejecting yourself. You're saying that you are descendant from cultures that are not of your own. And to me, it's not only blasphemous, but it is ignorant and unacceptable.
There you go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
You know,
Loud and
everything you guys, everything you have said is just on point. I want the audience to think about the fact that to become an ancestor, there are certain things you have to do. And I listed some of them, but you have to decide and you have to ask yourself, am I doing those things? And if you're not doing it, then you're wasting your time. You have to adhere to certain cultural values and mores for the prospect of becoming an ancestor to be real, to manifest into reality. Remember that this is our cultural understanding about life after death. And not only that, it is also our way of honoring who we are. So we said that you have the Arunsi. What aspect of the Arunsi do you respect? Do you follow? Do you practice? What's on your shrine? For me, the Arunsi that I think, I mean, all of them are relevant, but the one that really means a lot to me is Allah, because it's easy to follow Allah. Allah is Mother Earth, and to honor Mother Earth, you do the right things. You don't chop down trees that you don't need to chop down. That's all part of Earth. You don't do anything to destroy the land. Like there are places where people put chemicals, knowing there are living beings there. There are people who live there. There are people who depend on that land, and your chemicals you pour in there. People develop cancer and what have you. If you're disrespecting the land, you're not looking to become an ancestor. That is the Arunsi that's very, very dear to me. Everything that lives on earth, even in the sky, all those things are important aspects of nature, Mother Nature in particular, because everything we eat comes from nature. Everything we walk on the land, the trees, the flowers, the plants, everything depend on earth. So you can't destroy Mother Earth and somehow you feel, oh, someday I'm going to be welcomed into an ancestral realm. No, many people don't understand why things are going wrong in our world today. Look at the collective energy that's been disrespectful to nature. All those things are causing the world to fall apart. But if you're thinking that you're going to die and go somewhere, or somebody died for your sin, you don't pay attention to those aspects of Arunsi that you should honor. Because after all, hey, Somebody already died for me. I can do whatever I want to do. You don't have to take responsibility. There are individuals who actually think that way. When they do what they do, they go to church, they pray, they repent, they put $10,000 and give to the man of God, and somehow they're going to go to heaven. You know? But we don't believe that. We believe you take responsibility for your good or lack thereof. And the way to do it is to identify those things that you must do on a daily basis to honor yourself and honor the ancestors. And what the team has been talking about, when you think about all our ancestors poured into us, the generations of Africans that we are throwing away, just name it, we're throwing it all away because we don't value them. I have somebody who wanted me to do a speech for them, right? What was their concern? What do you think was their concern? What would I say that would be contradictory of their religion? I'm not there to talk about religion. But anything that has to do with them, their ancestors, they run from. And somehow they think, let me tell you something. Let's assume there's a heaven. If God is watching you, everything that God gave you here on earth, and you mess it all up, what makes you think that God wants you in heaven? To come and mess it up there too?
I guess.
If we're not respecting what we have here, there's no way we're going to respect anything when we leave here. We're going to carry the same mess from here to heaven. And then the people in heaven will try to figure out, where do we have besides heaven? What other heaven exists? Because we have this earth, and we're destroying the earth, and some of us are now trying to go to somewhere in the sky up there somewhere, moon, Mars, because we're destroying this one. So we got to go find somewhere else that, UD will not come. So UD doesn't come and destroy it. So we make it too expensive, UD, so you can't fly. You can't go to Mars. Only certain people can go there.
Oh,
in African spirituality, this is your life, this is your heaven and your hell. It's right here. What you do right here determines the kind of life you're going to benefit from. You do right, hey, you live right, and then you become an ancestor after 7 life cycles. But if you just keep destroying and destroying and destroying, there's no other world out there, people. How many times have they tried to go to Mars and moon and everything? Those people up there don't want you anyway. And I guarantee you, UD, when the time comes and those people who live in the moon see this earthlings coming, forget it. They're going to shoot us down back to Earth. Okay? Because the world that we're given, we're destroying it. But in our spiritual culture, we're not supposed to destroy it. Now, what people saw as poor Africans, these were really healthy people who lived a natural life. Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Sure.
Yeah, you're good.
Can you hear me well?
You're good.
So sure.
Before the Europeans to Africa, people were eating, People were eating fresh foods. They were honoring the trees, the birds, the animals. Before you even killed an animal, you have to pour libations. You have to beg for the spirit, the soul of the ancestor of the animal to forgive you. But you're only killing it because you have to eat. And we have forgotten all of those. So what are we doing now? The richer once you become rich, now you have to learn how to shoot game. So you go and buy a big gun so you can go and shoot animals. That's not your tradition. We shoot them to eat them. We didn't shoot them for those of us who eat meat. We didn't shoot them for fun. But we've embraced that, because you know what, UD? You know why? Because our sins have been bought and paid for.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we can do all these things. You see
Mm.
what I'm saying? We can do everything and we get away with it. Somebody died for us. And then that's why people get so mad if you don't believe that somebody died for your sins. Nobody died for my sins. I'm responsible. Don't be trying to put your headache on me. I know when I'm wrong, and I'll admit to it. I don't want to pass it off to Jesus or anybody else who's died for us.
He didn't really die for
You
your
wonder
sins
why
till
Jesus
after the
ain't bad? Because the man is so crazy.
ridiculous.
You know, I mean, some of these things that are people who are supposed to be smart, they don't even think. They don't think. But if we talk about, and Chiedozie, I'm sure you experienced that when you want to talk about the ancestors, people freak out on you. They freak out. I mean, I've encountered that. I told you I had a Nigerian woman who came to my house and she saw my masks and all of that. She ran. And then this Haitian woman promised her that she can get the evil out of her and get her some blessed oil, and she's smearing it on it, and they were lining up and being smeared with oil. I say, you guys are so lost. You're so pathetic. You don't upset me because I know where you are. Mentally, you're deranged. Okay? You're bleeding mentally. How can you be so scared of a simple mask? What would that oil do? What is that oil? It's a mask. It's a mask. But you're putting oil everywhere.
Anointing. Is that not the quote unquote the voodoo or magic?
It's a form of libations, you know. Okay. Well, I don't know what they thought they were doing, but I laughed so hard. But anyway, I say this: we, as Cheers, we do want to become ancestors. I know I want to be an ancestor. I pray every single day. Please, God, I don't ask too much for in life. Just let me get to 80. That's all. I just want to get to be age 80. I don't care how I get there. If I'm walking with a cane, if somebody has to pick me up as I go, just let me get to 80. I just want to become an ancestor. I don't want to go around again. I like to think that, hey, okay, I've gotten as far as I need to go. But anyway, make a long story short, people think about. Oh my God. But people, what you have to understand is what our ancestors did, and they passed on to us that some of us have thrown out, is that your connection to the Most High stems from your connection from nature, because there's nothing else that Chineke has given us that is not found in nature. It's not the food, it's found in nature. Is it the air? It's found in nature. Everything is in nature. Everything is right here. So as long as we are doing the right things, not abusing our bodies, not abusing other people and whatever, you know, if when you leave this earth and you're not 70, 80 years old, that means you're on your journey. But that's a good thing if you're still on your journey. But your journey will be okay if you passed away before 80, because you've been living a good life. You've been living a good life. You've been supportive of other human beings. You kept your neighborhood clean, your house clean, your children fed as much as possible, a roof over your head, whatever it is you're doing. Now, don't misunderstand me. Doesn't mean that people who are in the streets are not going to become ancestors. That's, you know, situations happen that put you out there, you know, and sometimes it has nothing to do with your handwork. But all of us as African people, we need to recondition our mind to start thinking in terms of what happens to me. Much of it has to do with me. And if it doesn't have to do with me, I can correct it. But I'm not looking to somebody to solve my problem when I intentionally commit crimes, when I intentionally hurt other people, when I intentionally hurt nature. Nobody is going to forgive that. You will come back as a tree stump if you don't make it to ancestral world, or a lower animal. So you know, I think that unfortunately, Dibia Chedoze, you may agree with me. I hope you do. But I think that the world is the way it is because we have ceded responsibility to somebody else. Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely.
I agree with you 100%.
That's what we're suffering now.
Somebody else is taking care of our business. Somebody else is responsible. Yeah. Well, I don't have to do anything. I go and I go to a man of God. I go to man of God and I tell him my problems, and this is the crime I committed. And he promises not to tell anybody what I've done wrong. So I go and do it again and come back to him. He said, you again? I said, you did like Dad used to say, it's my mother. What do you want me to do? I come back. If a person comes to you the first time, okay. They come back the second time. You again. They come back the third time. No, we have to report you. But no, it doesn't matter how many times they come back. You say your mouth is closed. You cannot talk, disclose whatever they've done because they've confessed. We are actually helping people become criminals with these theories, these values that we are setting for them, not to take responsibility. We are setting them up to not, as far as cheese are concerned, you're being set up not to ever become an ancestor. Because all this stuff we're doing, and you just keep doing it over and over and over. Somebody asked a question. There is talk about preserving Igbo culture, Akan culture, etc., etc. Can that be done if we don't honor our ancestors? No, it can't be done. Is the African culture with their ancestors? No, Akachi, you're right. No, you can't do it. Your ancestors are your history. They tell your story. So there's no way you can reinvent African culture when you're adhering. And what people don't understand, it's not about you not embracing humanity. It's a global world. That's not the point. The point is not that, if I know what Europeans are doing, I can't learn from it. Of course I can. I can learn from anybody. But the thing is that I must also preserve mine so that other people can learn about me and my children in particular. The descendants of African people. Did we save government, family, life? No. No, we didn't. The ancestors are so important to the African people. This is who we are. If you look in the mirror, there are 10,000 ancestors behind you. You look like one of them. Some maybe you have seen visually. Maybe you look like your auntie who passed away 50 years ago, or somebody. But our ancestors are part of us and we are part of them. And we African people need to aspire to become our ancestors. And we also, most importantly, need to continue to give reverence to them. And in so doing, we're also honoring Chineke, who created them. Chiedozie, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to say.
Chiedozie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're
What's
good.
going on? Nobody's hearing me.
No,
I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
You can't hear me.
Go ahead.
We're going to go over just.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Chidozie.
Yeah, just to submit my thoughts. These.
I'm trying to answer these questions.
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead, Chidozie.
Yeah, I was just trying to say this issue of not taking responsibility. We see it in our political system, the borrowed political system, oath taking. What they take is not oath. What they take is a passing on of responsibility to another entity. You say, I swear by Almighty God, I shall serve the nation to the best of my ability, so help me God. If you serve to the best of your ability, well, God helped you. If you serve the nation to your pocket, into your pocket, that's where God has helped you most. But in the African tradition, we don't just take oath, we take what you call active oath. You must take responsibility. You read out those things that your office is required to do. These are the things I'm supposed to do as an accountant. If I deviate from them, if I deliberately distort, extort, manipulate, then you read out the actions. Let so, and so happen. But because somebody had died and then nobody should take those kind of oath and so on and so forth, so we canceled active oath. But it is not because anybody died for us. The truth of the matter is that, like somebody wrote somewhere, when the Europeans came and they saw that our system was difficult to penetrate, they tried and tried and they couldn't penetrate. So they thought of a way of penetrating. They said the only way to penetrate is destroy what they have and replace it. And that's simply what they did. So this issue of somebody died for you is a way of not making you live your own life. It's a way of making you not to take responsibility. It's a way of making you not to be a human being, to pass on the buck to a supposedly supreme being or higher force that has not even, maybe did not exist. Nothing of such happened. So it's a deliberate ploy in my own understanding. And the earlier we begin to make a U-turn from that way of thinking, the better for us, because we are not going to take responsibility of anything. Every government that comes into Africa gets worse and worse and worse and worse because they don't want to take responsibility for anything. All they do is photoshops and so on and so forth. So the earlier we go back to our spirituality and live by the tenets of our spirituality, then we can be responsible human beings who are then responsible to others, responsible to our environment. I think that's my thought. Thank you. That's my parting shot.
Let me just say this real quickly.
Yes,
take me over 1 minute.
Fantastic.
Without our ancestors, we are nothing. The language you speak is because of our ancestors. The traditional medicine that we know is because of our ancestors. Our school system is because of our ancestors. Our tradition is because of our ancestors. Culture, ancestors. Religion, ancestors. The clothing you wear, ancestors. The parables, African proverbs that you know is our ancestors. The African hut that you see is our ancestors. The African food that you eat is your ancestor. Without our ancestors, you have no identity. There is nothing that you know today that exists if it wasn't for your ancestors. So before you go embracing ancestors of other people, tell me, do you traditionally wear the burqa? Are you a knight in the British military? Mm-hmm. What is it about you as an African that is foreign? The only thing foreign about you as an African is the one that was given to you because you were colonized, because you were enslaved. Everything that identifies you as an African is so because of your ancestors. The color of your skin, the clothing you wear, the food, African food you eat, the stories you tell, your traditions, your culture, the names of God that you have, Chineke, Olodumare, Tamuna, Uvuzulele, all African languages exist because of your ancestors. Because of your ancestors is why you are. And if you don't understand that, and then you don't revere your ancestors, then you will cease to exist, because that means that you will never be an ancestor.
Yes, that's right. This is the final. There's one question here that I want to Chiedozie, you answer that because it's along your long line of your department in the Chase University. We're going to talk the next Sunday. We're going to focus solely on Chase University. But here is the question: what is the traditional role of masquerades in connection to ancestors?
Oh, in actual fact, the masquerades as it's an institution built to reverence the ancestors. Masquerade is actually the ancestors being mimicked. We are reminded of the institution of the ancestorhood through the institution of masquerade. If you want to get up further knowledge about that, go and read Things Fall Apart. You'll get that. And then you can download much materials on what we call Mount, because when we do prayer, we call the ancestors Ndinona Mount. That Ndinona Mount is the same thing represented by Mount, the masquerade. And that's how it is among the Yorubas. When you talk about the Eguan is represented by the Egungun cult, which is the institution of the masquerade. And so they remind us, and actually the mask of each masquerade represents the face of one ancestral spirit, or so on and so forth. It's a way of storytelling, because Africans, where we did not document, we documented through symbols, through activities. So the institution of the masquerade is one way we documented things about the ancestors, the clothing they wear, the mask they wore, the dances. All of these were founded and instituted by ancestors. And we repeated and keep repeating these masquerade dances in honor of the ancestors that bequeathed them to us. And some are actually a creation of the community, representing an ancestor that had a kind of represent the community. All right. So the more you go into the study of the institution of masquerade, the more you understand that that is the way, like for those of you who have a Christian mind, when it is written about Christ, they say, do this in honor of me. So the institution of masquerade is a way of repeating what the ancestors had given to us in honor of them. Thank you.
And that is an offshoot of images in mysticism.
In mysticism.
Yeah. That which is devised in the mind has to have a physical representation for it to manifest. You know, and people don't understand that stuff when they see Mao and all that, and then they think of some kind of wizardry or something. No, it's part of images and mysticism, which exists in all cultures. You know, all cultures represent that. But unfortunately, when Africans represent their own, in our minds, it tends to be something that is evil or whatever. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Well said, Dibe Chidozie.
Thank you.
Okay, Dibe, I can't hear you. We can't hear her. I don't even know if she can see us. You know.
Okay,
but,
sorry. I just wanted to apologize. I can see you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
We didn't hear you before.
Sure.
We can hear you now. So let's conclude the program.
See you. I can see you guys, and I can hear you, but you can't hear me.
No, I can hear you now. So go ahead and conclude the programming before the technical issue of not hearing you comes up again.
Oh.
Yeah, see? That's what I'm saying. So I don't know. That's a tough one. We've had a tough day today, but I'm sure that the message got through to everybody that's stuck with us through this challenging times. So with that being said, I don't know exactly how we're going to conclude this program now, but hopefully.
Send her a text. Send her a message.
Yeah, let me send her a text because we can.